Now let's talk about some of the new features within the Genero Studio modules. Genero Studio has been enhanced to include new features in many of these modules. For example, the code editor now supports smart XML editing so that you can be sure you're creating well-formed XML. Today we'll focus on the major new features such as those in Report Writer, Business Application Modeling, and Application Generation. If you're new to Report Writer, you'll find a full video series on how it works and how to create new graphical reports or enhance your legacy reports in the training area of 4js.com. Here we're going to simply look at some of the new Report Writer features that are in Genero 2.30. First of all, there are new output formats to Excel and to HTML. There's also the ability now to call subreports within your report and design a single graphical representation of a report that is including subreports. And you can also do page totaling now and show page N of M, where M is the total page count of all the pages or subranges, and display the total number of pages on each page. Now let's take a look at Genero Studio's business application modeling. Genero Studio in 2.30 now introduces the model-driven approach. So this, coupled with the application generator, provides a powerful tool for rapid development. Within the business application model, there are various diagrams that you'll see are used in Studio. We'll look at each of these in the demo, but briefly, the meta schema provides a layer to centralize the schema attributes that may not be represented in the database. For example, the primary and foreign key relations, default widget types, etc. can be centralized as a part of this meta schema layer. Centralizing these attributes helps to avoid repeated efforts by every developer to set the attributes, but also speeds the creation of your forms. The business application diagram defines the application, forms, and relationships between them in a graphical view of the application. And lastly, we'll look at managed forms, which are the forms that can be generated from the schema with associated code for using the form to query, add, update, delete, etc. Let's take a look at generating a one table application with query, insert, update, and delete functionality. And then we'll wrap up this webcast with running the application that we've generated in the Genero desktop client, in our standard GWC for Ajax browser, and in the new GWC for Silverlight, so that you can see that new Silverlight theme. The first thing we'll do to generate an application is create a new project workspace that is a little different than a standard project workspace in that it is a managed project. The standard simple projects are under the Genero files. But a managed project will give us these nodes of application, database, and library. Now in this one I've already linked my database that I want to use to work in this project. If we look at the Schema tab, we can expand or double click on this and it will bring up a meta schema that we can work with. So if I select this customer table, I can select any of the columns and I can provide some meta schema information. So for example, I can determine what I want the label to be, what I want the default widget to be, the default value, etc. And I could go through and make these settings so that when I generate a form from this table or from any of the other tables, I'm going to be pulling those default values. So back to the project now. The next thing that I'm going to do is to add a new file type, which is a business application diagram. and I'm going to go ahead and save it. Now I have a new document, the new AG, which is a 4BA document, which is a new type of document in 2.30, which is the business application diagram. I'm going to right click on it and choose to add a program, and I'll also go ahead and choose to add a module. Now if I add a new program to this program, I will put it right in my application that I'm working on, and I'm going to make a connection or a relation between this program and this module that I'm going to build. Now for the module, I can right click and actually create a form from a table or tables. And so I'm going to go ahead and choose the fields from the customer table, and I'm also here going to identify the primary key, and I can go ahead and select a container type. I'll keep it as a grid, and I'll change how my labels and fields are aligned. Here I'd be able to join tables if I had more than one table in the form. And here you'll see the labels as we specified them in the schema. And we can here at this point also change what type of widget is going to be created for each of the fields. Once I do that, I've got a form here, and the form, a managed form, has a separate tab called Records. So again, here's the form and here's the Records tab. I can see the information about the record. For example, for this record, I'm going to generate code for query, insert, update, delete, and I can check on or off what I want, what code I want to be built. I'd also be able to supply the join information here if I had additional records on my form. I can also select each of the fields and provide additional information here if I prefer, such as whether they're a unique key or not, as I have for the store number. Now once I've done that, I'm just going to go ahead and save these to my application node, save this managed form. If I go back to my diagram, I now have a form and the module, what's going to be generated for that in my program. So I can select the program, or I can come over here to the program and go ahead and build or execute it. So I build the program, I execute the program, and what I get is a fully functional desktop application that has a default toolbar with the query, next, previous, insert, update, delete, all the code generated for me. Now you can find more information about the application generator in the documentation, but just to note, if I look at these files that I've created, I can open the generated source that has been built, and as a part of a part of the application generator, there are parts in the code called points and blocks that allow you to add your own code, and that code will be preserved when the program is compiled again. So you can customize even the generated code. Also, the generator is working from a set of templates that are used to generate the code that is generated. And those templates can also be swapped out for a different template or customized in such a way that you have a particular type of code or code with different functionality being generated. So again, that was simply right-clicking and choosing opening the generated source for either the program or for the module. Now lastly, I'd like to run this application, but in the various themes that we talked about. So here is the application as a desktop application. Now I'll go ahead and change this to the web configuration, which is going to then just run my application in a browser as an Ajax theme. And here's that same application running in the browser, the same functionality. And lastly, I'll come over here and I'll change it to the Silverlight theme. So if we look at the Silverlight theme, again, there's a full webcast on working with the Silverlight theme, but we have a new theme defined, and this is going to take advantage of Microsoft Silverlight and present the application using that functionality and that enhanced browser look. So let's close this. We've changed it to Silverlight. I'll go ahead and execute this generated application again. And this time we get a new look and feel with, again, the same functionality, but now in a Silverlight theme. So here's our Ajax theme. Here's our standard desktop and the new 2.30 Silverlight theme.